Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being here. It's good to be in Burlington today with Vermont Gas, Efficiency Vermont, and others to discuss the annual Button Up campaign, helping Vermonters prepare their homes for the winter months, which will be here before we know it. As I travel around the state, what I hear from Vermonters the most is about affordability. With prices on most everything going up over the last few years, they're struggling to make ends meet, which is something my team and I will continue to work on. And I believe one small part of making Vermont more affordable is encouraging Vermonters to weatherize their homes, explaining the benefits and giving those who can't afford it some financial incentives to do so. Vermont has some of the oldest housing stock in the country, which means there's a lot of homes that could use some upgrades to make them more energy efficient, especially in the winter. It can be everything from insulating attics to small improvements like replacing weather stripping around windows or sealing ductwork to make sure the heat gets to where it needs to go more efficiently than it is today. And it all adds up and can save hundreds of dollars on heating costs every year. Buttoning up homes helps homeowners save money, use less energy, and stay warm during the winter, which is a win-win-win. And as we continue to see the impacts of climate change, by taking advantage of some of the incentive programs available, weatherizing homes is an affordable and practical way to do our part to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and help Vermonters keep more of what they earn. So once again, I want to thank you all for being here today, including all the partners involved in the Button Up campaign, because together, we can help Vermonters stay warm and save money. And with that, I'll turn it over to Peter Walk from Efficiency Vermont. Peter.
Thank you, Governor. Well, we appreciate everybody coming out here in the rain today. Nothing says commitment to buttoning up like being here and being present today. Thank you to the Governor, thank you to Commissioner Johnson, to Neil Lunderville from Vermont Gas, to Darren Springer from Burlington Electric, and to Rose from Energy Co-op of Vermont, who is out here working on this project as we speak. The best part about Button Up Vermont is that it's for everybody. This is a statewide campaign that brings all of the resources to bear for Vermonters to help them save money, use less energy, and to be more comfortable in their homes. We often see energy rebates in the news today, and unfortunately that's often the end of federal tax credits, or the end of federal programs. Here in Vermont, we have made the commitment to the people of Vermont by investing in energy efficiency work across all the income spectrums and of helping folks along the way. And with that, we're able to withstand some of these ups and downs in federal policy changes so that Vermonters can continuously access programs that save them money, that make them more comfortable, and use less energy along the way. Anybody can access these programs, and they can come from different sources. But reach out to one of our organizations to help you access, whether that would be a full low-income weatherization program through the Office of Economic Opportunity with Jeff Wilcox. Sorry, Jeff, I forgot to mention you. Run by the WAPs, the state's community action agencies, and NITO up in the Northeast Kingdom that are doing great work helping Vermonters who can least afford it be able to access these programs. We all work together. We help identify which programs are available to folks along the way. For us, if you want to give us a call, we can start with a virtual home energy visit. Nobody needs to come to your house. If you have a smartphone, which most folks do, we can walk around your home and help you understand what options you have, including weatherization and other energy saving opportunities. You can start by reaching out to us, or if you're in Vermont Gas territory, reaching out to Vermont Gas, and we can help identify the right folks to look to. There are also opportunities for things like DIY rebates. We know Vermonters are thrifty and handy, and if you want to get in there and get some more work done yourself, there are small rebates available to help folks along the way. But honestly, what makes this program work, and it's been around for many years, is the partnerships. Vermonters need support to be able to help access weatherization. Weatherization can be an expensive program, but we make it accessible for everybody, different income spectrums, different house types, renting situations all over the place, to be able to make sure that everybody can access the program. So it's clear and transparent to customers to be able to get that work done. Ultimately, as we think about the work together, we think about building a workforce, combining resources together to be able to make sure that the people are around to be able to do the great work that you're seeing today happening in the house next to us. We share technical expertise and resources across the board, and we work to get the word out to Vermonters so that they know that these are their resources and available to them. I want to thank Governor Scott and his team for joining us here today. This is an important event that we do every year, to be able to get the word out on the importance of weatherization so that Vermonters can be more comfortable in their homes, and as the governor mentioned, make their energy systems more affordable. As we think about the energy burden that Vermonters face, their energy costs versus what they can pay, transportation is the top, and we're all continuing to work on that, and right behind that comes home heating. So the more we can do to help folks save money and to honestly be more comfortable in their home, anybody who's had a weatherization project done knows that it's that leaky spot in the corner of their house that they never want to go to in the winter that is now warmer and more comfortable. It changes the people's lives, their health, everything else along the way. And so the more we can do to help folks know what resources are available to them, the better. Without further ado, I'll hand it off to Neil Lunderville from Vermont Gas.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful fall day. Great to have some rain. No, it really is truly wonderful to be here. My name is Neil Lunderville. I'm president and CEO of VGS Vermont Gas. It's great to be here with so many weatherization partners, and of course the governor and Commissioner Johnson. I'm not going to give too many remarks because I think the governor and Peter have already said so much about Button Up. But in Vermont, we know weatherization works because Vermonters who weatherize put money back in their pockets every month. They have a more comfortable home year-round, and they are future-proofing against a changing climate. In fact, true energy affordability starts with weatherization, because the most affordable energy is that energy which you don't have to buy and consume. And that's really the foundation of what we're talking about here with Button Up. We're so pleased to host the governor and all of you here at this work site today. What you may not know is that this job started with a visit from a Vermont Gas energy auditor. Vermont Gas has actually been doing energy efficiency since 1992. We have one of 3 energy efficiency utilities in the state, Efficiency Vermont, Burlington Electric, our great partners at Burlington Electric, and Vermont Gas. We have a whole team that goes out and works with homes and businesses to help folks button up. So it starts with an energy audit. And then the real work starts after that. We work directly with the homeowner, the customer, to understand what their needs are, understand what their appetite is. And then it takes a team to schedule the work, to line up the financing and rebates. And once the work is done, to make sure that that work is quality work that will last for a long time and do exactly what it's intended to do. It really is a team effort to bring it here. And this team is united in the idea that when we do weatherization right, which we do in Vermont, we save our customers money, we make their homes more comfortable. That is really what it's about. One of the exciting things about this particular project that we're right here with Energy Co-op is that it's not just a work site, it's actually a hands-on classroom. So the Energy Co-op is doing the work, which they're doing great work here today. I guess Rose will tell us about what they're doing in just a minute. The folks who are working on this program are recent graduates of Resources Weatherization Training Program. Vermont Gas actually has had somebody here, one of our experts working alongside, to make this installation a learning opportunity as well. This is a way that all of your weatherization partners that you see are making sure that we're growing the climate workforce for the future. The climate workforce, these are good paying jobs in a community where you live, and put a plug in for that. If you're just starting your career, you want to change careers, there are resources available to get you trained and to get you working right here in Vermont, working to help make progress on our climate goals. All right, I think I want to stop there by thanking Governor Scott for coming, but really importantly, thanking Governor Scott's whole administration for their strong support of weatherization programs year after year. It makes a huge difference. I also want to thank the legislature who's come in behind that support and really made a difference to expand the level of funding for these programs over a long period of time. As part of the Energy Action Network's Weatherization at Scale Task Force, we've been pushing for more funding, and the administration and legislature have delivered that. That team is what really makes this happen. And with that, I want to turn it over to my friend Darren Springer, General Manager of Burlington Electric. Darren.
Thanks, Neil. Great to be with everybody today. I'm Darren Springer, General Manager with Burlington Electric. Great to be here with the Governor, Commissioner Johnson, all of our partners, Efficiency Vermont, Vermont Gas, Energy Co-op, and our CAP agency partners. For us, weatherization is really all about partnership. We are one of the 3 efficiency utilities serving the state, serving in Burlington. And for a long time, that really meant a focus on electric energy efficiency. And so we serve the very limited number of homes that are not natural gas customers in Burlington with weatherization services, but somewhere upwards of 98% of our customers are also Vermont Gas customers. And as Neil mentioned, Vermont Gas has had a longstanding program for weatherization supporting our customers. But what we're seeing now is increasingly, as more of our customers are electrifying, we have over 3,000 heat pumps installed in the city of Burlington. We have a partnership approach that makes sense because somebody might be weatherizing a home that I think of as a hybrid home, where they might have a natural gas boiler and they might have a mini split heat pump system, and they're getting heat both from electricity and from natural gas. So our team goes and partners with the VGS team, and we're able to provide the customer a seamless incentive and experience, but behind the scenes, we can bring both of our funding sources to bear to support that customer. We also partner with CVOEO and our Champlain Valley Weatherization Services to support income qualified customers. On our side, we bring electric energy efficiency rebates at no cost for those projects, and we're able to support electric efficiency while CVOEO is supporting weatherization services. And so it's been very much a partnership model. We also recognize that for some homes, there are going to be barriers to weatherization, whether that's vermiculite or old wiring, different things that need to be remediated before we can get to weatherization. So with the department's encouragement and support, we've reserved over $150,000, I believe, in our latest TEPF filing to support some programs to help customers who might be in that situation and also to support the city's rental weatherization policy as well. So we're very excited to be here. We appreciate the support for weatherization, and I believe I turn it now to Jeff. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
Hello. I want to thank everybody for the invite here. My name's Jeff Wilcox. I work for the State of Vermont's Office of Economic Opportunity as the State Weatherization Director. Our office has administered the statewide low-income weatherization program for over 45 years, and actually this coming year will be the 50th year the National WAP program, Weatherization Assistance Program, will be in place. So we're happy to help kick off the Button Up campaign and help Vermonters prepare for winter. Our program serves over 1,300 low-income households each year and saves them approximately 30% of their heating needs. And if they heated with oil, that would be about $900 put back in their pocket for the other necessities of life in Vermont, which there are a lot. So at the same time, when we weatherize a home, we improve the comfort of the home all year, improve the health and safety for the clients living in that home, and provide valuable client education and connections to other programs available to them. There are many other benefits I could talk about for much longer, and if you know me, you know I like to talk about weatherization. I'll be here for a while afterwards. So I'll just say our program is comprehensive, holistic, and a very good cost-effective use of state and federal weatherization funds, which are taxpayer funds. Services are free to low-income Vermonters, and those receiving fuel assistance are automatically qualified or automatically eligible. We prioritize serving elderly, disabled, families with children, those with high energy burden, and those receiving fuel assistance. We do serve renters too, and there are some landlord requirements for participation, but it's still a very good program for landlords, building owners. Our program provides very good paying jobs and rewarding careers to 160 plus Vermonters across the state. That includes me and Dwight DeCoster in the room here. And we hire approximately 200 subcontractors across the state as well and provide some steady business for folks. Most of our 6 weatherization agencies are currently hiring crew workers, and I do have information on that if anybody's looking afterwards as well. Several parts of the state currently have low wait lists for weatherization services, and I urge people who may be eligible to apply for weatherization today. They very likely could get served before or during this winter. For more details, you can check out our website, which is dcf.vermont.gov, or contact me directly, jeff.wilcox@vermont.gov, and Jeff is GEOFF. I'm almost done. One thing I'd like to add is that energy efficiency work absolutely needs to be done properly for it to provide the intended benefits and not cause more harm than good. This requires that contractors have the proper tools and equipment, and most importantly, proper and continued training. And it's really great to see this training occurring here. And the trainer is actually Bill Holstrunk, who hired me into weatherization 28 years ago and has been doing some contract training for our network for the last many years. Our office this past year, with help from several organizations in this room, created a weatherization training center in Barre, Vermont, thanks to a $2 million grant from the Department of Energy. We did this to train our weatherization program workers, but also in hopes that programs and individuals outside of the weatherization world, capital W, low-income weatherization, would take advantage of this training center in central Vermont. Happy to talk with anybody about that too, because we really want to make that sustainable, and that's going to require others to get training at that facility. So again, thank you all, and appreciate it. I'm sorry, Rose.
That's okay. Give me a sec here. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rose Friedlander, and I am here to speak with you today as a team member of the Energy Co-op of Vermont. First, thank you to Governor Scott for taking the time on this rainy day to reinforce how important weatherization work is to our state. I'm excited to speak from a contractor's perspective about how weatherization is a central component to our work, our over decade-long relationship with Efficiency Vermont, and why this work towards our state's energy goals are so important to us. To begin with a little bit of background, our co-op began in 2001 with a group of Vermonters who were concerned about the rising costs of energy in our state. Our motto is use less, save more. With this motto, the goal of our co-op is to meet Vermonters wherever they are on their energy journey and empower them to take the next steps towards higher efficiency. While we still deliver fossil fuels to homes powered by both kerosene and heating oil, we work with our members to reduce their usage. We offer wood pellet deliveries. We install and service high-efficiency HVAC systems such as heat pumps and heat pump water heaters. And with increasing importance, we provide weatherization services to make homes more comfortable and help our members save money. Weatherization plays a huge role in our members' energy journey. It's the foundation that allows every other system to perform at its best. And through our partnership with Efficiency Vermont and the Efficiency Excellence Network, we've been able to make these improvements more affordable and more accessible to the people who need them most. We joined the Efficiency Excellence Network, also known as EEN, in 2013. This has been a great collaboration for our co-op and one that has saved our members thousands of dollars, all while making their homes more comfortable and efficient. Being part of this network means we can bring the most current knowledge to every home we visit, whether we're performing an energy audit, installing a new heat pump, or in the case of today, insulating an attic. When it comes to weatherization, we want to make sure homeowners know they don't have to tackle everything at once. Our energy audits are meant to create a holistic approach that allows our members to take their weatherization projects and button up their home one step at a time. Because at the end of the day, this work is about helping Vermonters live better, not just by lowering their energy bills, but by making their homes healthier, more comfortable, and more resilient for the future. Thank you. And I don't know who I turn it over to.
Thank you, Rose. And we'll now open up to questions. I'll ask Commissioner Johnson to come up just in case there's questions I might not be able to answer. Maybe we'll have on topic first, then we'll take a few minutes more after for anything off topic.
Maybe for Peter, but do we know what enrollment at that center in Barrie looked like? How many people and what are you guys forecasting in the next few months and years?
I'm going to hand that to
Yeah,
Jeff.
So we've been training our network really steady. I can provide numbers, not on the spot here, but happy to give anybody a tour and provide more details. But we've also been providing training to low-income weatherization folks as well. And really, we do hope to keep that sustainable by being the state's training center.
Governor, the Climate Council recently identified weatherization as being a key strategy to meet our Global Warming Solutions Act goals. I'm wondering, given a lot of the workforce challenges we have, what is your confidence level that tools like this training center or other areas in the state that will be able to train enough people to weatherize homes and avoid a lawsuit?
Yeah, obviously, our workforce is an issue with us. We're seeing it in every sector across the state, whether it's education, public safety, and just overall state government. We have a shortage of workers in Vermont. So this is going to be a challenge, but again, some of the agencies and departments, the capstones of the world, have rallied and are trying to assist in this, and so we are making headway. And again, I think this is an area, whether it's the most staunch Republican conservative or maybe the most liberal Democrat in this legislature, where we come together and meet in the middle because it benefits all of us and for all the right reasons. So I think it's important that we continue to make strides in this area because, as has been stated many, many times, this is a way for us to save money, keep people warm, and help out in our greenhouse gas emissions. Did you want to add anything to the other?
Last fall, Governor, the effort to remove the private right of action from the Global Warming Solutions Act did not make it to the floor this year in the Senate. Any indication that there's going to be any action on that this year?
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, we're going to continue to push forward with some of our priorities surrounding affordability, and so some of those will touch other areas as well. So we'll continue to work with the legislature to provide a product that Vermonters can afford and will benefit Vermonters.
Are we able to get a breakdown of how Button Up is funded? I understand it's taxpayer dollars, but is there anything else contributing to it?
There's both state and federal money, and I'm sure somebody else, Peter?
Sure, I would say it's the as we mentioned, it's partnerships, right? So it's a combination of the state and federal dollars that flow through Jeff's program for the EEUs. These are ratepayer dollars who are contributing to for the benefit of all, and so it's a good mix of funding sources that remain. As we think about the federal funding sources that are coming through, I believe Jeff has a couple more years left of sustained federal dollars, and that state level investment in other programs helps us maintain the level of work so we can do the things like home repair to address vermiculite, address cracked foundations and leaky roofs so that people can get weatherized who otherwise wouldn't be able to.
And the shutdown will have no impact on those federal funds, right?
The federal funds that are already flowing certainly has no impact. There are, I believe, some funds related to the Inflation Reduction Act that I don't know whether you've received officially yet. No. Well, no. One of you too. But yes, the funds that are already flowing are most of them are part of the ARPA and bipartisan infrastructure law funding.
clarify, you said the IRA funds are being clawed back? Like we're saying.
No, not for weatherization. We believe they will flow. They just haven't flowed yet.
This is a question maybe for the governor or for Jeff, but or perhaps for you, Peter. But I know, Jeff, we've spoken in the past about the challenges around vermiculite and repairs in old houses in Vermont, and the substantial boost in funding that Vermont got during the pandemic. And I'm curious, in light of this campaign, if there's any updates like at the state level about sort of plans for how to address those challenges. I know you spoke to them as well.
Sure, I can speak to what we're thinking about, then I can hand them off to others. But certainly something we've identified as a clear need. We launched our home repair program, I believe, at the last button-up press conference, and by January that money had been fully committed. And so there's clearly a need. We've been working in partnership with the weatherization agencies to backfill some of the dollars that they need in order to do that same work. We would look through our normal sort of regulatory approval process to look to spend more dollars to support that work, both for customers that we serve and the customers that Jeff's program serves, because it's the right thing to do, because otherwise people just never get to that point where they can actually have their home weatherized and take advantage and have that benefit.
So we have ARPA funds, and we set aside a significant amount for home repairs and vermiculite to avoid deferrals of the clients that need that work, and then weatherization. I'd argue those most in need. So those funds will come to end in March, but Efficiencies Vermont has provided some funds for us, and Commissioner Johnson's been really working hard to advocate for some things to come along to help us do that, because we don't want to leave those folks behind, because like I said, they need it the most. So we've got some things in plans, but if anybody has any extra money out there for home repairs and I wanted to say 1 in 10 homes in Vermont that we serve has vermiculite in their attic, and that's the first place you want to weatherize. You want to and you can't if there's vermiculite in place. You're not allowed to disturb it. That includes blowing insulation on top. So it's something really important.
I'd love to ask a follow-up question. I know, Governor, were you going to? I didn't
No,
know if you were
go
gonna
ahead.
I know also there has been a lot of concern about LIHEAP funding, and I'm curious if there are any updates as of today about the status of that program given approximately to November.
All I can say is we're not as concerned about LIHEAP as we are about some of the other programs like SNAP, because this seems to be an area that Congress on both sides of the aisle agree upon. So we feel the money will continue to flow there, but we will be having, we're putting a contingency plan together this week. We'll be having an emergency board meeting next week with the legislature, and we'll present our plan to them. So again, we want to make sure that we protect Vermonters, but hopefully Congress will get their act together, come together, and open the government back up.
Has AHS come up with a workaround about the chip or the swipe card issue?
We're working on that. We're between a rock and a hard place, as I've said before. SNAP in particular is about $13 million a month, and if we put money forward, first of all, technically, how do we do that? Because they may shut down their system, so they wouldn't be able to utilize the cards in the traditional fashion. So that's a problem. Secondly, we undoubtedly will not get reimbursed for any funds we put forward. So think about the money. We're going into a legislative session where there's going to be fewer resources, and think about that 13 million if we were to put it all forward, not get it back. How many homes could we weatherize with $13 million? I mean, there's going to be things of that nature that we have to contemplate. So, and this isn't the end. There's other programs that may be affected. The longer it goes, the worse it gets.
Governor, also speaking of SNAP,
just one follow-up question about that. Even if Congress does include the LIHEAP funds in next year's budget, wouldn't the staff who administer that program, who I think were laid off en masse, need to be rehired to get those funds to Vermont?
You mean from a federal level? Yeah. I think that's for Congress to work out. I'm sure that there's some sort of plan to make sure that the funds will flow. I think everyone, again, on both sides of the aisle, seem to understand their constituents rely on this funding, and it's much needed, especially in the north, but in the south as well, for cooling.
Governor, also speaking of SNAP, last week I believe a judge placed an injunction on the case where states are suing to stop the release of personal data of SNAP recipients. As you remember, Vermont was one of those states that gave the data forward. Given that, how have you just been thinking generally about your decision to share that information with the federal government and what it could be used for?
Yeah, again, I believe that we made the right decision. It was based on legal analysis on the part of our office and some of our lawyers. And I think we're on solid ground there. It's their data, it's their program. That's why we can't just utilize the card system, for instance. It's their structure. So they created Social Security numbers. They have them. They have all the information at their disposal now. So we still feel it was the right decision to make. This is a lower court decision. It's going to be appealed. I think there's a long ways to go before we figure out whether it was the right thing to do or not. But it's not immediate.
And just your message to Vermonters, just in the meantime, of people that are worried that this data might be weaponized. I know you mentioned this before, but things have changed a little bit.
Well, again, it's their information. They already have the information. They created it. I don't think if they want to dig deep enough, they'll get it anyhow. It's not as though it's their program, 100% federally funded, and it's their information, their data that they have their hands on.
Question for Rose, if I could, about the work going on here today. Can you just give us a little more detail about, how many folks are here, how long this project will take, if there were any of those challenges, like the vermiculite in this attic that you had to overcome here?
Absolutely. Well, I can only speak a little bit. Our weatherization crew is up here working today on the attic, blowing in insulation as part of the Button Up campaign in correlation with Vermont Gas. So I'll actually hand it over to Vermont Gas to explain a little bit more of what we're doing here at the actual building. But as far as our weatherization crew goes, we are a small team. We are, I think, about 4 of us total. And they are working hard on getting this house ready for winter, making sure that it is sealed and ready to save energy and also be warm and safe all winter long. And then, yeah.
Just go up together, Jeff. Come on. I asked Jeff to join me to follow up to your question. I may not get into the specifics of this project. We are doing insulation here today. But a lot of times folks have a different idea when they think about weatherization. They think like, well, we're going to get new windows. That's generally not new windows. It really starts with a lot of small stuff. Air sealing, you want to make sure that the home is really tight. You want to take care of the underlying issues first, as Peter talked about, then make sure the home is tight, then do your insulation at different levels inside the walls and in the attics. This is not always really sexy stuff, but it's the really important stuff that makes the home truly sealed and comfortable. That's some of the work that's happening here today.
Yeah, sorry. Our program, and I know Vermont Gas, they work in collaboration with us on some of the homes CVOEO does, but we model the home and determine what's cost effective to perform for work, what's going to save energy to pay back the cost of the insulation. So we have a priority list of where we start, and that's typically in the attic, air sealing, insulating any empty cavities, which we still see in Vermont, unfortunately. But in tandem with the energy efficiency work, just as critical is health and safety work, which is bathroom ventilation. You have to make sure the bathroom fan is moving air out of the homes because a tighter home will have more moisture, higher humidity, mold and mildew, making sure all heating systems don't backdraft after the home is tighter and those fans are on. So there's a lot that goes with it, which is why you should really get a professional to help advise you if you're not getting low-income weatherization of Vermont Gas.
Yeah. And we provide a report for homeowners. We'd be happy to share an anonymized version of what folks see in that if folks are interested to learn more about this kind of cost-effective approach that we take. Really, ultimately, it's the decision of the homeowner. We want to work with them as a partner to really make it work for them.
Governor, has Sam Douglas officially resigned from the Senate?
Not officially, as far as I know, but it's just a technicality. He has said that he's going to resign, and I take him at his word. But we haven't received the official notice.
Do you know when he plans to officially resign?
I don't. I would assume that it could be today, but it could be. It doesn't have to be just to me. It could be to the Secretary of the Senate. It could be to the Lieutenant Governor. So it may not go through us.
And what do you make of him saying, "I'm going to resign on Monday," and he's still not?
I think it's, again, just a technicality. I don't think he understood the process. He thought if he announced to the world that he was resigning, that was it. But you know, the Senate rules and legislative rules are a little bit different. And so you have to officially send in a notice so they can log it. The Secretary of the Senate, in this case, will log it.
We're just a few blocks away, actually, from the new accountability court, which started this week. What is the end goal in your view?
There's multiple goals in this, and we'll be rolling out the rest of our plan. We've been talking with the mayor's office on this, and so we'll be rolling that out tomorrow, I think, the rest of the 13 points of the 14-point plan. But really is trying to hold people accountable, to try and make Burlington safer, and to address the backlog in the court system. So it's multifaceted, but it's all to do good. And you'll see the rest of the plan as well and how it dovetails with what we're trying to do today.
Just to follow, I mean, what does that accountability look like, right? I mean, what mechanisms or what plans are there in place to say, okay, if somebody goes through the court system, a court says you have to go to drug or alcohol treatment or restorative justice, they go through that. What is there what's that accountability to stop people from reoffending or doing it again?
Well, again, what we're seeing today is that they're not even getting into court. So they have offended multiple times, have multiple charges against them, but because of the court system and the backlog and so forth, they're released and they reoffend. So these are folks that have over 5 offenses on their record right now, waiting for 5 different court appearances. So that's what we're trying to do, is just trying to help catch up and hold these people accountable and make Burlington safer for the residents of Burlington as well as visitors. I think we're all on the same page here, and we hope to get the people into court to get them the help they need, and then hold them accountable for their actions.
Will this ultimately deter people, do you think, from doing something?
Well, time will tell, right? We certainly hope so, or get them the help they need from an addiction standpoint.
Governor, Wheels for Warmth is starting tomorrow. Can you articulate the importance of
I was going to put in a shameless plug for that. Wheels for Warmth was something I started almost 2 decades ago, and we've been able to put back into use tens of thousands of tires, as well as recycle tens of thousands of tires, and raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, and take tires out of the waste stream. But what we need is tires. So they're collecting tires here in Chittenden County at the Casella facility out on Industrial Ave and in Williston, but we're taking them in Barry and Rutland as well. So we need your tires so that we can put them back into use. Tires that don't no longer fit your vehicle, they're still good, and people can have, we sell them for pennies on a dollar, and then we give that money that results from the sale of the tires for pennies on a dollar goes to fuel assistance. So it's a win-win-win for everyone.
Governor, last week several environmental and democracy nonprofit groups issued a letter claiming that your recent executive order on housing exceeded your authority as governor, and that the regulatory changes in that order at the very least needed to go through formal rulemaking processes. Do you disagree with that assessment?
I do disagree. I mean, we think we're on firm ground here, and who doesn't think we need more housing?
So I think the letter was quite clear they weren't disagreeing with the substance of the changes,
But that slows down the process, right? So we need housing. It's something that I think everyone recognizes, and I look forward to those same folks coming to the legislature and helping us pass, real regulatory reform to help us build more housing in the future that we desperately need.
Governor, are you saying?
I disagree with their analysis.
Did you receive legal advice to that effect?
Of course.
And Secretary Moore that same day announced that at least the Agency of Natural Resources wasn't going to directly implement the changes to the wetlands rules, but was going to go through the formal rulemaking processes. Is that an admission that the
I don't think it's an admission. I just think that we know we need housing, right? So this is another bump in the road that we're going to work our way through because, again, the emphasis here is if we don't build more housing, we're not going to satisfy this workforce challenge. We're not going to solve the affordability crisis that we face. We need housing in order to do that. So I would suggest that everyone get on the same page, pull in the same direction, and figure out how do we build more housing.
Governor, can you or Commissioner Johnson explain a little bit about sort of what's happening in Hyde Park right now with their utility? And I understand from some of the awesome reporting from VPR or Vermont Public, there was basically because there was staff turnover. And what is the concern, if at all, that as people in our workforce age, people that have been working at municipalities or utilities for a long time, that we might see similar mistakes?
I think initially what our concern is the amount of rate increases that folks in Hyde Park are going to face because of this. Commissioner Johnson, is there anything you want to articulate?
What I would say, Calvin, is there's a situation this grave. It takes several factors to get there. The personnel aspect is just one, and that's happened over a period of years. In addition to that, it's the current leadership and a set of decisions that have been made over a period of time that have resulted in the financial situation they now find themselves. But your fundamental point about the challenges of running a small utility, be it finding the right people, being able to control costs, cybersecurity issues, effective grid investment programs and the like, those are clearly challenges. But Hyde Park, in my 25 years or so being involved in electric utility matters, I haven't seen anything that approached this level of financial gravity. So our first, as the governor mentioned, the first and foremost, our current premise is that it makes the most sense to restore Hyde Park Electric to financial solvency, then do the deeper forensic analysis as to exactly how they got here and what happened. That will take some time. We expect an additional rate increase right now, but we are mindful of the capacity of Hyde Park residents to be able to absorb that. So two things that are important right now we're bearing in mind. One is the overall affordability, and second is reliability of the system because they have a couple of challenges. So that's where we're focused on.
Well, ultimately, if Hyde Park ratepayers can't foot the bill, is this also going to fall on taxpayers writ large at the state legislature?
It remains to be seen, but some of the financial instruments that were used to keep the Hyde Park Electric going that involved village loans, and this quickly gets pretty complicated, but I would say there could be. But again, this is first and foremost secure financial solvency, then undertake the analysis necessary to be able to understand all the financial decisions that were made, what is their true status, and then what's an appropriate financial recovery plan. And then beyond that is, does it continue to make sense to have Hyde Park Electric as an independent utility? It may make perfect sense, and that's the premise of our department currently. But depending on the gravity of the situation, that may change.
I have a question for Darren, and I don't know if Governor or state officials want to weigh in on this, but I ran into climate advocates yesterday who are continuing to call for the closure of the McNeil biomass plant. Basically, they claim that it's too expensive, it's creating greenhouse gases. They also say that the plant is only 26% efficient and that state law requires biomass plants to be 65% efficient. Is this true? What is going on here? I know that this has been...
I'm going to let them weigh in on this, but I will say I'm a big fan of biomass, And this plant has done a lot for our renewable energy here in Vermont, and puts a lot of forestry processors, keep them employed. And so it's beneficial from all standpoints across Vermont.
Thank you, Governor.
So, first, I'm not aware of any law around what the efficiency of an operating power facility like McNeil would be required to be. And it's important to note that when we're talking about a plant that's a solid fuel plant like McNeil, that's a fairly typical level of efficiency. But that said, we have a lot of reliability benefits from McNeil because we have a plant there that can do things that the rest of the renewables that are in our portfolio can't necessarily do. Over the summer, we had, because of the drought, very little production from our hydro facility in Winooski, for example. And that facility runs when the water flows. So we get the energy when we can, and we love hydro. And we have 3 different wind contracts, and wind can produce more in the wintertime for us than solar, which is producing in the summer, but those are both variable as well. And so McNeil is the only facility that when it becomes wintertime, and we know that the ISO New England grid prices spike every single winter because we don't have adequate resources for the power generation in the region, McNeil insulates our customers from those price shocks. And if you look at Burlington Electric's rate trajectory, while we hate raising rates, we never want to raise rates. We've had low to middle digit, single digit rate changes over the last several years. We've seen utilities in other states that are having double digit or even triple digit rate increases that are exposed to that market. And Vermont as a whole is doing really well when it comes to rates because we've had a policy of saying we want long-term, stably priced renewable resources as opposed to playing in the market and getting exposed to that price volatility. So Vermont's number 1 in the region for having the lowest rates, which is a good development. All of that said, with McNeil, we're committed to improvement. We don't want to stand pat. We want to do things even better in the future. So we have a study that's supposed to be done in the next several weeks that's looking at a variety of efficiency improvement options we can undertake, which we're excited about. There's also new technologies that are coming along that may be able to help further improve the stack emissions profile for a plant like McNeil, or even look at options where you could repower the facility and use wood even more efficiently. So we agree with the idea that we want to reduce any sort of environmental footprint that we have. We want to be as efficient as possible, but we also know we need a power generation resource that has the characteristics like McNeil so that we aren't putting all of our eggs in one basket. Thank you.
I might want to also add, and maybe Commissioner Johnson could weigh in as well. Just remember, our state house is probably the only state house in the country that is still heated by wood. So we use biomass in Montpelier for the Capitol complex and through Main Street as well. It's been beneficial, again, for us as a state, for a region. So when you're talking about biomass, we have the Rygate plant as well as ours here in Montpelier and the one here in Burlington. So all essential, especially when you consider the electricity needs of the future. We have a shortage of electricity generation in New England. And it's something that we're going to have to address, especially with the increased use with AI. That's going to require a lot more electricity here in the region. So we've got to use all the resources we have in order to satisfy the need and the growing demand.
Thank you, Governor. And I thought Darren Springer did an excellent job in laying out some of the benefits. This is the one thing I would underline for our department under the governor's leadership. 2 things. One, we continue to examine the affordability of having McNeil. And thus far, as Darren identified, it has been in the money. It's a useful resource for the state of Vermont. Secondly, what I would say is this is obviously the largest population pocket, the highest use anywhere in the state of Vermont. Having a reliable source of generation this close to load provides incredible benefits, some of which Darren enumerated. That's really important going forward. In fact, what you're finding is more and more for things like data centers, co-locating the energy resource as close as possible to where that load is offers all kinds of efficiencies. Lastly, what I would say is I'm intrigued and look forward to collaborating with BED's leadership in that might there be repowering opportunities? What might be next? Because right now, as the governor noted, offshore wind was where this region was going to be looking for. That seems to be taken off the table now. We have other options. Vermont has some assets, and if you look at our geography, That's an important role to play. But right now, we need to strengthen the grid even as we nurture the existing generation resources we have and identify what's next. Because we do need to find what's next. And again, consistent with the governor's vision, it is an all of the above. And what you find, I think, in New England as well as the region, there's a more open-mindedness as to what qualifies, what kind of energy resources we need. Mostly driven by affordability concerns, secondly driven by data centers and other reshoring of manufacturing that for the first time in about 25 years are driving load growth, and we haven't experienced that before. That all comes back to why this currently, McNeil as it is an incredibly valuable resource.
Any update on the nuclear working group or coalition with other groups sort of investigating nuclear?
Good question, Calvin. What I would say, the update is, one, there's a better understanding of the financial market, what it takes to essentially demonstrate that this is New England is a reasonable place to try and put money at risk to develop small modular reactors or other type of advanced nuclear. So I think the region as a whole has seen growing interest, and in fact, other New England states, 3 in particular, have updated their current statutory provisions to become more welcoming for nuclear. And that was prior to some of the work that's been going on now. For Vermont, for our sake, we're willing and seeking to be a collaborative partner. One of the assets that Vermont has, for instance, is our regulatory structure. Believe it or not, Vermont's the only state within New England or New York that still has a fully integrated, where you live determines who your electric utility is. Every other state in New England, it's a competitive resource for delivery of electricity services. What that means is we can allocate risk and reward and get more creative with regards to how do we arrive at an affordable, reliable agreement, if that's possible, for some type of nuclear generation within New England. So I would say clearer picture on the finance, better understanding of the technology, and lastly, what I would say, though, this is not fast. Okay, this doesn't happen fast. The technology isn't completely approved yet. Where exactly you're going to build so far, the 3 or 4 sites where there has been advanced nuclear put in place have all been next to currently operating nuclear power plants where they have acclimated communities, they have a workforce that makes sense. The next stage, we'll see what happens, but this is years away.
Governor, any update on the Lake Champlain power line? New York is already building theirs.
Commissioner Johnson, we
You're
continue.
faster than building a new plant, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we need all sources. Calvin brought up earlier a lawsuit that I did not support, but I want to talk about one that I supported and led, asked the Attorney General to forward and sue the federal government for the Solar for All program. This was something that we worked hand in hand with Senator Sanders, and something he got passed in the Congress. And we were preparing our way to taking advantage of this over the last year and a half. So this is a rooftop solar program money was appropriated by a previous Congress that the Trump administration stopped, and is not going to issue the funding that is necessary to fulfill the legislation. So we think we're on solid ground there too. We will be actively working with the Attorney General to make sure that we get another source of power that we desperately need. Again, a balance, as Darren talked about before, here in the region, a balance of power, whether it's hydro and biomass and so forth. We need everything here as well. So we're actively pursuing that. But maybe you can answer the other question about
the line.
Yeah, the line.
And just to underline the governor's point, that was $62 million worth of solar for all could have affected hundreds, a few thousand Vermont families to lower their energy bills. So that's why that program was so important. I think it was Tim. As to the transmission lines, there's 2 in question. Right now, the one being constructed near completion that runs north-south through Lake Champlain is the Champlain-Hudson Power Express. That's from Hydro-Quebec down directly into Queens, into New York City, displacing some diesel and gas generation there, so it's a great project. That one was proposed after a sister project, I guess I would say, in Vermont, but was completed and permitted before that. Currently, the New England Clean Power Link, that's the one that was being referenced. That has some permits. It will need a permit refresh. That's 1,000 up to 1,200 megawatts. What's being proposed now is a bi-directional line that would also, north and south, through from Canada, down Lake Champlain, hits land in Orwell and then goes to Cavendish, at Cavendish Ludlow, and connect to the Coolidge substation. That could be incredibly valuable. There has been negotiated a benefits package that would reduce rates, provide money into coffers for property tax for communities along the way. The long and short of it is, though, there needs to be another solicitation opportunity for Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, the other New England states to say, is this a cost? Is this a source of additional Hydro-Quebec power plus the transmission costs that the region is willing to pay? So right now it's active, but there isn't a clear path to capitalization and yes to begin construction, but there's a lot of things going on at the region. And I agree with you. That would be much faster if we can in fact get that built.
Commissioner Johnson, two follow-up questions.
Sorry.
Will competing with New York for this Hydro-Quebec power to some extent raise the rates Vermont pays for power from Hydro-Quebec?
That's a fair question, and what I would say is we're competing with every other customer that Hydro-Quebec has. There has been, it's kind of interesting. I've never seen all 6 New England states be so in accord on what needs to happen. And concurrently, though, Hydro-Quebec, the way I would characterize it is they become a bit more populist and protective of that resource. Then, frankly, when you add some of the current administration's comments about 51st state and what happens, that doesn't help the back and forth. But the governor has been invested a lot in maintaining that relationship. I would say, given that there's already transmission lines under construction, that reduces the supply somewhat, but at the same time, what's happening is Hydro-Quebec is vastly expanding its resources, both with wind and repowering some existing and creating new hydroelectric facilities. So they still see this as an absolute strategic long-term resource. They value long-term partnerships and people they can trust. They view Vermont and the rest of New England as a trusted business partner. We continue to have those negotiations, both directly through the department as well as Vermont Utilities. So yes, it has an impact, certainly now with some resources taken off the table. But in the end, it'll be a market deal, and we'll see what happens.
Can I just add to that, not to complicate the issue, we'll be going to Canada, Newfoundland, in November for the Eastern Premiers New England Governors Conference. But Newfoundland, Labrador, and there's some other provinces there that are contemplating competing with Hydro-Quebec. So they may not be the only game in town. So we'll see what happens, but we'll learn more, as we continue to foster our relationship with our friends from Canada.
Just my other question was, what's the identified need for new generation close to load, as you mentioned? Is revisiting the noise rules for new wind power in the state, which I understand has limited the development of new projects, is revisiting those rules on the table?
We heard that at a recent conference when I was talking where that was raised. As far as I'm concerned, my department has not seen any proposal, nor has there been any legislative initiative to change that rule. At the time, Vermonters spoke, and I recall the presence at the State House of people who were quite supportive of the current limitations, or that kind of, I would say, neighborly driven limit, decibel limit on noise from wind power projects. And there's very similar requirements for large transformers associated with transmission projects, where you have to construct new walls, and there's decibel limits, I guess I would say, for every energy grid investment. So I don't know that that's out of bounds. But to your question, we haven't initiated that. Quite honestly, it hasn't been identified to me or my team as a real need, nor have we been approached by any other interest group or any other legislator looking to change that. They're welcome to do it if they don't want to.
Yes.
Governor, this is a question actually from one of my Montpelier colleagues, so a non-climate question. But I was curious, I know this is about the VSEA and a town hall that's coming up, and I was curious if you're planning to attend that, if it was something that was on your radar.
Nothing on my radar.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Just finishing this last section here before they put the siding back on and then move to the next side of the building.
Installation there if you need any of that. Okay. Fuzzy looking, what do I call that? Is cellulose insulation. Cellulose insulation.
Yeah. And then we're dense packing it, which means that we're putting it in very tightly. So that does a couple things. One is it can never settle when it's at that density. It's self-supporting. And it's going to block air very effectively at that density. So that means we're going to reduce the draftiness of this house quite significantly. In the energy model, they've determined that they're looking for about a 35% reduction in their fuel use. And they'll have a huge, actually, boost also in the comfort of the house.
What does that translate to like dollars saved? I mean, I don't know if you guys have like a calculation of like how many gallons of oil per upgrade you do.
We do. I'm not familiar with how much they were paying on this, but you can imagine 35% of your total fuel use could be quite significant in these houses.
When do you start working here? Like how long will the project take?
So we started on Monday. These guys will probably be here for the next couple days, finishing up. So basically it's going to involve all the walls. We're going to be dense packing because they're all empty. We're going to be dense packing the attic, and the roof slopes also have very, very little insulation. So when we're done with that, it's going to have a tremendous impact on again, the fuel and the comfort of the building. And cellulose insulation's a recycled material. It's like 100% recycled. Well, and then the borates are added for the fire resistance for it. So it's not only improving the energy efficiency of this building, but it's also improving the fire resistance of this building. So every 14.5 inches of cellulose in a vertical assembly is equal to a 2-inch fire block. So for every 8 feet, it's like having 6 fire blocks in there. So that's going to make this house virtually, fireproof when we're done with that. Also, sound attenuation. That high density means that probably also they're not going to hear noises as much on the outside. And all these things together really are real good. That's one of the reasons why we use the cellulose insulation.
Any particular challenges with weatherizing this house?
The big challenge is aluminum siding, and this may be why this house was never insulated. Is it's difficult to remove aluminum and put it back on so that it takes kind of a little higher level of commitment with these guys, and Energy Co-op of Vermont certainly has some really great
The other question is, what does it take to sort of like staff up, right? I mean, we talk a lot about sort of like the workforce is to pull off a lot of these jobs here in the center and Barry. Just talk to me about sort of what it's like hiring and finding and training talent to pull off projects like this.
So 30 years ago, there was nobody doing weatherization training when I got into the business. So I kind kind of had to learn on the fly. These days, with Resource and some of the other folks working on there, that has really helped basically raise the level of basically support. And I've been lucky enough to be able to go out and train with the weatherization crews for the past 3 years and really see that their level of training and commitment really has improved. And that's great to see as well.
And I guess what does this mean to you? Just to help people out, just to like help people, you know, find ways to keep their house warm.
Yeah. So also, what we find is that the work is really difficult. So, you know, in the winter, we're working underneath mobile homes. It could be 20 degrees, the wind could be blowing at 40 miles an hour. In the summertime, they're working up in attics. It might be 130 degrees up there. It takes a really committed person. And I personally find that the folks that are going to be around longest in weatherization are those people that really are looking to help people. You know, weatherization has raised wages that they're paying people, which is certainly really important, but it's also just finding people that kind of have this desire to help other folks.
What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Bill Holston.
How do you spell it?
Hulstrunk.
What's your title, your company? What do you do? Or I know you do,
So I'm a independent trainer and consultant. Yes.
with Efficiency Vermont, or?
So in this particular case, I was hired by Vermont Gas and Vermont Energy Co-op to come out and work with them a little bit on this project.
Okay.
But in the past, I've been employed by and I was in the weatherization program actually for a number of years. I actually ran the weatherization program in central Vermont for a number of years during the 90s. So, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, take care.
35% fuel.
35, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I was wondering.
I don't know if you guys want to climb up in the truck and look at the machine. You can see it kind of processing the cellulose. Coming down.
Good question.
Around the gap, you see the fire. So quick newspaper, the borates on it make it extraordinarily fire resistant. So I could outside in the rain.